Today, we are going to dig into a really game-changing essay from T.S. Eliot, one that takes on one of our most deeply held beliefs about what it means to be an artist.
So think about it. When you picture a great poet, more comes to mind. Probably someone pouring their heart and soul, all their personal pain and joy, right onto the page. A genius whose unique personality and intense feelings are the source of their art. For a long, long time, that's what pretty much everyone believed.
And this idea that great art is all about raw self-expression, it's a really powerful myth. It's the story we've been telling ourselves for centuries. This way of thinking really took off with the Romantic poets. I mean, you've probably heard William Wordsworth's famous line about poetry being the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. The whole idea was that the artist feels something incredibly deeply, and then their job is to just translate that raw emotion into art. The more personal, the more powerful. But what if that's all wrong? Well, enter T.S. Eliot. He was a poet and a critic who took a long, hard look at this popular idea and decided to, well, completely dismantle it. See, Eliot wasn't just one of the most important poets of the 20th century, he was also a super sharp critic. And his ideas, they would go on to fundamentally shape how we read and think about all literature. And this little essay right here is where he did it. In just a handful of pages, tradition and the individual talent laid out a theory of creativity that was the polar opposite of that romantic ideal. It was disciplined, it was intellectual, and most shocking of all, it was impersonal. And this quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of everything. An escape from emotion? An escape from personality? I mean, what does that even mean? This is the core of Eliot's argument, and it's meant to be jarring. He's telling us that to be a truly great artist, you actually have to get yourself out of the way. So, okay, if art isn't about the individual's feelings, then what is it about? For Eliot, the answer was simple: tradition. But he had a very, very specific idea of what that word meant. Now, look, when we hear the word tradition, we might think of, dusty old books and just blindly following the rules of people who came before us. That is not what Eliot is talking about. Not even close. He argued that real tradition isn't about passive imitation. It's something you have to actively fight for and acquire. He called this key ingredient the historical sense. And it's way deeper than just knowing history. It's this ability to feel the presence of the past, to understand that a poet writing today is in a kind of conversation with every poet who has ever written. It's like they're all in the same room: Shakespeare, Homer, everyone, all existing together in this huge, living order of literature. And this isn't something you're just born with. Nope. Eliot is very clear. You have to work for it. This great labor he talks about, it means reading everything, studying deeply, and just absorbing the art of the past until it becomes a part of your DNA. You have to earn your place in the tradition. Okay, so if the poet has to suppress their own personality and totally surrender to this massive tradition, what is their job exactly? Well, this is where Eliot gives us his most famous and, honestly, his most brilliant analogy. And when you put them side by side, the contrast is just stark. On one side, you've got the romantic ideal, where the artist's personality is the whole show. And on the other, you have Eliot's model, where the artist escapes personality and just becomes a medium for the art itself. The focus shifts completely from the creator to the creation. So how does this whole escape from personality thing actually work? Eliot compares the artist's mind to a catalyst in a chemical reaction. It's a simple idea, but it is incredibly powerful. All right, let's break this down. So you have these gases, right? Think of those as the poet's feelings, their emotions, their life experiences, all that raw material. Then the artist's mind. That's the little sliver of platinum. It's the medium that allows all these different elements to combine in new ways to create the work of art, the sulfurous acid. And here's the crucial part. After the reaction, the catalyst, that platinum filament, it's completely unchanged. It stays separate from the art it helped create. So, yeah. The artist feels things, they suffer, they experience joy. Of course they do. But Eliot says the more perfect the artist, the more complete the separation is between the person who suffers and the mind that creates. The final poem is a totally new thing. It's an impersonal object that now belongs to the tradition, not to the artist who wrote it. But hold on. Eliot's theory has one last kind of mind-bending twist. If a new work of art joins this grand old tradition, what effect does it actually have on everything that came before it?
According to Eliot, the literary tradition isn't some static timeline where we just, add new books to the end of the shelf. Not at all. It's a dynamic, living system. And when a truly new, groundbreaking work of art shows up, it changes the entire structure.
Just think about it for a second. After you read a completely groundbreaking new novel, you can't help but look at all the older novels in a slightly different light, right? That new work actually reconfigures how we understand the old stuff. It shifts the relationships and the values of the entire system. And this is the beautiful symmetry in Eliot's whole theory. The tradition, all the art of the past, it shapes and informs the individual artist working today. But in turn, that artist creates something new that reaches back in time and actually alters our perception of the entire tradition. It's this constant living dialogue that stretches across centuries. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question for our own time. I mean, we live in a world that is obsessed with authenticity, with personal brands, with telling our own stories. In that context, is Eliot's idea of an impersonal artist, someone who escapes personality to serve the art, is that just a relic of the past? Or, in an age of constant noise and self-promotion, is that kind of disciplined surrender to something larger than yourself exactly what we need?